Imagine this. 1 minute, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you're going about life as if it's just a regular day. Life is as normal as it can possibly be. But the next second, a sudden and unnatural darkness descends upon the entire world. Not just nighttime or some storm cloud passing over. This darkness is so thick and unsettling that you wouldn't be able to see your hand in front of your face. This darkness is said to be a supernatural gloom, unlike anything ever witnessed before, and it won't last for an hour or even a night. This terrifying blackness is prophesied to cling to the earth for 3 days and 3 nights, 72 hours of absolute suffocating darkness. And during this time, no man-made light will work. Your lamps, your flashlights, even your emergency battery-powered lanterns, they will all be useless. The only light that will pierce this gloom will come from blessed 100% beeswax candles. Simple candles blessed by a priest will burn miraculously, casting their small, flickering glow in the consuming darkness. The chilling part about this is that it's said that these blessed candles will not light in homes where sin reigns supreme. And the darkness itself is not the only terror. The air during these 3 days is said to become thick with a horrible pestilence. A deadly sickness is going to sweep across the globe, and demons will be unleashed, roaming the earth in grotesque and terrifying forms. They will target those who have strayed from God, those who have mocked and turned their backs on the church. This is a time of divine chastisement, a purging of evil from the world. The prophecy warns, do not, under any circumstances, go outside. Do not look out your windows. Do not answer any knocks at your door, even if it sounds like a loved one in anguish. It's said that demons will use this tactic to lure people outside. And some say that those who dare to peek outside will be struck down instantly, their bodies left to decay. So what are the faithful to do? The warnings with this prophecy are clear. When this darkness falls, you must barricade yourselves indoors, close every window, cover every pane of glass, and then you must fall to your knees and pray. Pray with all your heart, pray unceasingly, mainly the rosary. Beg God for mercy, for protection of your soul, and for your loved ones. Have your blessed candles ready. Surround yourself with other sacramentals like holy water, blessed salt, and crucifixes. This terrifying ordeal is not without purpose. After these 3 days of darkness and terror, when the first rays of sun finally pierce through the gloom, the world will be different. The earth will be purified. Many of the wicked, those who refused God's mercy, will have perished, and what will follow is a time of peace and holiness, a renewed era for humanity. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Yes, I know it's not spooky season, but I wanted to talk about the 3 days of darkness, mainly because it's a topic that I have been seeing a lot pop up on my For You page on all social media platforms, but also a few of you guys have emailed me regarding the 3 days of darkness, so I don't just want to set the record straight with some of these things, but I also want to make sure that you guys aren't being paranoid about this and that you guys know the true story and understand what the church is teaching about the 3 days of darkness. But before we get in really quick, I just want to say that today's video is sponsored by House of Joppa, and I really appreciate them, so we'll talk a little bit more about them into the video. I know the image that I just painted for you is absolutely horrifying, so what I'm about to say is probably going to sound like really silly to you. You're going to be like, Amber, yeah, you just told us that story. How am I not supposed to panic? But do not become paranoid. Many do not realize that the 3 days of darkness is a private revelation. Private revelation means that you do not need to believe this. This is not dogma. This is not something that the church is like, this is definitely going to happen 100%, like blah, 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 blah. That's not the case. This is not something that the church requires you to believe. So if stuff like this makes you paranoid, please do not continue watching videos about this and freaking yourself out. That's not good for your soul. At the same time, however, you also never expect to get into a car accident, so you don't necessarily expect this to happen, but it's always good to have insurance. So getting 100% blessed beeswax candles and having some blackout curtains doesn't hurt. Getting those things does not make you paranoid, it just makes you prepared, but it's really easy to confuse paranoid with preparedness, okay? So a lot of people ask, why would God do this? Why would God do something so horrifying to humanity? And what it really comes down to is chastisement and purification. And I know that chastisement can sometimes just sound like, oh, God is so angry with us. But instead of thinking it as this horrible, scary, horrendous thing. Think of it more as like a parent, a good parent with a child. If their child is constantly making bad choices, hurting themselves, hurting others, ignoring all of the parents' warnings, a loving parent at some point has to let them face the consequences of their actions or even impose those consequences, not out of hatred, but out of love, to make them stop, to wake them up, to put them back on the right path. And that's how it is with God. He isn't some vengeful tyrant God. He is pure love, pure holiness. But when humanity constantly spits in his face and rejects his commandments and celebrates what's evil and mocks what's holy, well, then there comes a point where a cleansing is necessary. It's kind of like sweeping out a really dirty room. You have to clear out all of the bad stuff in order to make it clean and to make it pretty again. The 3 days of darkness, if it were to happen, would be a type of cleansing in that way. Basically, it's meant to burn away all of that deep-seated sin and all of the forces of evil that have been poisoning the world. And being inside and being trapped for 3 days, that's really horrifying in my opinion, and I'm an introvert. But in our world today, we are constantly bombarded with noise and news and music and distractions, and we are constantly pushing God off for things that are more stimulating, things that feel more, I don't know, instantly gratifying maybe. And we rarely just stop. And this chastisement would be a forced time out. This would be a chance to truly go inward and to examine our conscience, to confront ourselves and our sins, and most importantly, to turn completely to God. So where does this prophecy come from? Well, the Bible talks about judgment and darkness a lot. I mean, think about the plagues of Egypt. You can think about when Jesus died on the cross and the sun went dark. And of course, the book of Revelation talks about all of these cosmic signs. So these types of things are in the Bible, so it's not outside of God's nature to do something like this. But specifically for the 3 days of darkness prophecy, it comes from two very holy women, Blessed Anna Maria Taiji, and then of course I think the most popular one is Mary Julie Jeheni. Now, Blessed Anna Maria was a Roman wife and a mother back in the 17 to early 1800s, and she just, I don't know, she lived a simple hidden life, but she was blessed with visions, and she spoke a lot about this type of darkness, the need for blessed candles, and the type of purification that would bring to the world. So she is definitely somebody to look into if you want to learn about this topic more in depth. But then Mary Julie Jeheni, she was a French mystic from like the late 1800s to the early 1900s, and she's also received many prophecies about the future of the church and periods of chastisement, including very, very graphic descriptions of the darkness and the demonic activity that would accompany this chastisement. However, I need to make a statement very, very clear here because there are so many people who are led astray by this. Mary Julie Jeheni was only canonized in the Palmarian Catholic Church, which is a schismatic group. And schismatic group means they are not in communion with Rome, which means they are not actually Catholic. So this can really impact the alignment of her prophecies with the Roman Catholic Church, and her prophecies in general just lack the approval of the Catholic Church to whether or not they should be taken as seriously as these schismatic groups take her prophecies. Because these groups, they claim that what she has said is completely true. This is going to happen. All of what she's saying is completely 100% going to happen. Basically on a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday. Like, they are making all of these wide, crazy claims about her visions and everything like that. Do not fall for these groups. They are not in communion with Rome, and they cause so many people to spiral and despair regarding this prophecy. So please just be aware of that. Be aware that there are people out there who do not have the complete truth regarding this, and that it's really important you stay vigilant and you just don't fall for every headline, every article, or even every person who talks about the 3 days of darkness. Myself included. I've told you guys a million times, and I'll say it again, do your own research. Make sure you guys don't take me as the end-all be-all, and make sure you guys are actually educated in the faith and you're not just going based off of what I've said, because I am human. I can make mistakes. I probably will make mistakes. I have made mistakes, and I try to correct them, but sometimes I don't always catch them. That's why it's so important for you to know your faith. And if you want a video on that, I just recently did a video on how to re-catechize yourself as an adult if you were poorly catechized, or maybe you're a revert convert, want to dive a little bit deeper. Go check out that video. video, I am linking it below. But do your own research, seriously. And now a word from our sponsor, House of Joppa. Now these might not be 100% beeswax blessed candles, but they definitely smell good. When discussing the 3 days of darkness, I know a lot of people have questions about where to get certain religious items or certain things that they might need for their homes. Now I'm not saying that House of Joppa is a store for the 3 days of darkness, but I do believe that they have a lot of great Marian statues, crucifixes, and things that will raise your mind to God when you are feeling paranoid or fearful. There are so many things going on in today's world that I feel as though we need to surround ourselves with images and certain things that remind us of heaven and lift our minds, hearts, and eyes to God. And you can find those items at House of Joppa. They have everything you might possibly need, whether or not the 3 days of darkness happens. I have the beautiful bronze crucifix from them, and I do all of my prayers in front of this crucifix, including my examination of conscience. It reminds me of God's sacrifice and how he gave up his only son for us and how much he loves us. So I highly suggest you get one of these crucifixes as well. And at the end of the day, maybe it's somebody's birthday coming up, maybe it's an anniversary, or maybe it's just because. House of Joppa has something for you and something for your loved ones. You will not be disappointed in their quality or selection, so go check them out. House of Joppa, that's houseofjoppa.com, or you can just click the link in the description below. Huge thanks to House of Joppa for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into it. Now, like I mentioned before, this is private revelation. That basically means that the church has kind of looked at these prophecies and said, okay, these seem consistent with our faith and they can help people grow spiritually, but they are not something you have to believe in order to be a good Catholic or to go to heaven. They don't add anything new to what God has already revealed to us through Jesus and the Bible and tradition, so they're more like a reminder to stay vigilant and holy. Whenever something supernatural happens in the church goes through a very thorough investigation to prove or disprove it. You do not need to believe this, like I said, in order to go to heaven or to be a good Catholic or anything like that, but these prophecies are interesting and they are good to keep in the back of your mind. Unless, of course, stuff like this makes you absolutely paranoid, please do not put your soul at risk for some entertainment or some interesting insights or anything like that. Curiosity killed the cat, guys, okay? So make sure you're talking to a priest or unfollowing people or muting people if needed, and that, you know what, if that includes me, if necessary, great, okay? I don't care. I don't want you harming your soul because this or other videos cause you to become paranoid. Don't risk it. Okay, moving on. Anyways, I want to set the record straight here really quick in regards to Padre Pio, because he is sometimes lumped in here with these mystics saying that, oh, he wrote this letter that approves of the 3 days of darkness. That is false, actually. This letter that we're talking about was actually written by a religious cult in Germany, and the Vatican later actually outlawed them, but both the Holy Office and Padre Pio's superior denounced this letter as a forgery. I am just saying this because I see a lot of Catholics quoting or citing Padre Pio as a good source for the 3 days of darkness, and it's completely fabricated. It's a complete forgery. So make sure you know where you're getting your information from, make sure that your facts are straight, and I did make a video about the 3 days of darkness when I was a lot younger and a lot more crazy. And so I don't remember if I cited Padre Pio in that video, but if I did, I was wrong. Okay, and completely disregard that. And I don't know if I did or not. Hopefully I didn't, but if I did, completely disregard that. I was 100% wrong. Just to write the record, okay? Padre Pio never said anything about the 3 days of darkness. Now, a lot of people ask me, Amber, will there be signs before the 3 days of darkness happens? I mean, God wouldn't just drop this out of the sky. True, but I'll be clear that also the prophecies don't give us like, oh, the sky's gonna turn green, or there's gonna be like a specific checklist or something like that. Okay guys, really quick, I want to tell you about my Patreon. If you guys want to support this ministry and you are enjoying these videos that I'm making, please consider becoming a behind the scenes patron over on Patreon. On my Patreon, you guys will get ad-free and censor-free videos, along with some being more long form when I want to add something extra in for my patrons. On top of that, there are other perks like discounts, monthly Zoom calls, monthly live streams, and a lot more. So definitely go check that out. I've linked it below in in the description. I do really appreciate any and all support. This ministry is for God and God alone. I am simply a tool in his hands, doing what I can in my most sinful and human nature to fulfill what he is willing. I am not perfect, but I am trying, and just like everybody else, I am working out my salvation every day. I really, really appreciate your guys' support, and if you would like to make a one-time donation instead, you can do so on my website at thereligioushippie.com. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you know when I upload an episode. All right, let's get back to it. But there will be a certain state of the world that we can keep an eye out for to see whether or not we are closer to this chastisement or not. And so the general state of the world that we can expect when the 3 days of darkness will happen is we'll see widespread loss of faith, so apostasy. And that's basically when a lot of people within the church will turn away from God. They'll reject his truth. They'll embrace false doctrines. And then there's going to be a lot of moral decay. So society will normalize grave sins. They'll celebrate what God condemns, and they lose respect for human life and dignity. Then we'll also see persecution in the world of the faithful. So the people who try to live holy lives, they'll be mocked, ridiculed, directly persecuted, even killed for their beliefs. And then the last thing is just global turmoil, okay? Wars, conflicts, chaos, economic collapse, natural disasters, just increasing in intensity and frequency. It's also believed that before the 3 days of darkness, we are going to experience something called the illumination of conscience, sometimes also called the warning. Highly suggest you guys get this book called The Warning. I've been reading it a lot recently. Again, as long as you don't get paranoid about this type of thing, guys, please do not get paranoid about this type of thing. And if you're one of those people who do get paranoid, does get paranoid, stop it. Don't, I'll beat you up. Can't do much because I have look at that. Okay, I don't lift. I don't do upper body, but I will still try. For the sake of your soul, I will try to beat you up. It's going to hurt me a lot more than it's going to hurt you. Anyways, okay, the illumination of conscience. Many saints have talked about this. This is something that we know for sure is going to happen. Either way, whether it is before the 3 days of darkness or at our judgment day, like when we're standing before God when we die, we will experience an illumination of conscience. So an illumination of conscience will happen, whether it happens this way or when we die or whatever. Illumination of conscience is just it happens, okay? But it might just not happen this way, is what I'm trying to say. But there have been a lot of saints and holy people, and even a Marian apparition, who have talked about this. For example, Saint Faustina, Saint Edmund of Campion, Blessed Anna Marie Tagi, I mentioned her earlier, and then of course the apparition of Garabandal. I'm American, I'm sorry. It's said that before the 3 days of darkness, an illumination of conscience is going to happen on just a normal, regular day. Planes will freeze in the sky, time will completely stop, cars will stop, people will stop, and their souls and the state of their souls will be revealed to them. There will be a sign in the sky that appears. It's going to be visible to everybody all over the world, no matter what time of day or where they are. The illumination of conscience is described as a mini judgment. This is God, in his immense mercy, giving humanity one last, universal, undeniable chance to see themselves as he sees them and to repent of their wrongdoing. You will, in an instant, be shown your entire life and every single sin you have ever committed, no matter how small or how large. Every thought, every word, every deed, not just the mortal sins, okay? But the little ones, the ones you shrugged off, the good you failed to do, the moments you chose yourself over God, etc. It's like a flash of lightning, and it's going to illuminate the deepest corners of your soul, and you will see the state of your soul, your true spiritual condition, as if you were standing before God himself right then and there. And I want to be clear again, this is an act of mercy. I know in today's world we look at that and we're just like, that can't be merciful. How is that merciful? It's because we're so soft today, we don't understand the importance of mercy and chastisement. And for many, they will fall to their knees, overwhelmed by contrition, and they recognize their need for God's forgiveness. But sadly, there will be many people who witness this and turn even further from God, digging their heels in and refusing to submit or repent. And this is God's act of mercy before a potential act of justice with the 3 days of darkness. It's basically the last and final call to repentance before chastisement strikes the world. And if humanity responds to the illumination with widespread conversion and fervent prayer, some do believe that it could lessen the severity or even perhaps avert other prophesized chastisements. And for those who do repent and do go to confession and are a part of, repenting and going back to Christ, those confession lines are going to be hella long. You think they're long right now? Just wait, if this happens. Okay, so how do you prepare for both of these things if they were to happen? We don't want to be paranoid again, but maybe we want to be prepared. You guys already know what I'm going to say. What am I going to say? That's right. Go to confession. Receive the sacraments often, have a relationship with God, meditate, and do an examination of conscience, if not nightly, which we should be doing it nightly, but at least weekly. Make sure that you have a proper prayer routine, a regular prayer routine, that you're fasting and offering penances up for poor sinners everywhere. Actually, I want to touch a little bit more on the examination of conscience. Make sure you guys are doing your examination of conscience before every single confession. It doesn't have to be a deep, thorough one every single time. Obviously, you need to confess mortal sins, but every night or at least once a week, just take a few minutes before bedtime and think about your day. Where did you fall short? Where did you fail to love God and your neighbor? Where have you been getting more graces? Where have you been doing really well? But over time, this is really going to help you recognize your shortcomings, and it's going to make it easier for you to avoid them in the future. When your life flashes before your eyes, a huge part of what you're going to see is how you treated others. Living a life of charity, making sure that you're forgiving, making sure that you're not holding on to resentment, all of that stuff is going to be very important. And we should be cultivating virtue and practicing virtue anyways, so now is a great time to start once you hear about this video. Also gives you some motivation, like why not? But again, it's important to understand that God doesn't want us to be afraid unless it's a holy and healthy fear, like a fear that really pushes us to do better because we love God, not because we're afraid of what might happen if we don't. Because true fear, like horrifying fear, etc., is not from God. That's from the devil, because the devil knows that it's easy to control you when you're fearful and paranoid and things of that nature, and you will lose your peace and you'll lose your connection with God, because then you'll start thinking of God as this tyrant and things of that nature, and it'll make you afraid of him, but not in a holy way. So please be aware of that. Go to confession, receive the sacraments. All that stuff is so important. Whether or not the 3 days of darkness does happen, we will all die one day. We don't know the day. We don't know the hour. We don't know how. Is it going to be a car crash, a heart attack? Is it going to be something more or less severe? We don't know. So whether or not the 3 days of darkness happens, it doesn't matter. You should still be fulfilling what's proper to your state in life. If you are a husband and a father, you should be leading the family. If you are a nun, you should be fulfilling your roles properly as a nun, etc. If you are doing that and you are in a state of grace and you are receiving the sacraments and you have a friendship with God, you have nothing to be afraid of. So regardless of whether or not the 3 days of darkness happens, we will all die one day. And we all need to be doing these things anyways. And for the 3 days of darkness themselves, like if you want to be prepared and you just want to have something on hand, it's good to have 100% beeswax blessed candles. Just take them to your priest, have them blessed, and then have some blackout curtains, which most people have anyways because they don't like the sun coming in the morning. They like to be able to sleep and not have the sun in their face, but whatever. Most people, again, already have those. And then just have a small supply of canned food or just food in general. Remember, it's about being prepared, not paranoid. And the last thing I'm going to say is please don't fall into sensationalism, okay? There are some people out there who are like, it's going to happen at this time on this day and everything like that. Do not listen to those people. Those people are idiots, okay? They just want clickbaits. They just want you to be paranoid. They just want you to be coming back for more information like they're the end all be all. That's very cult-like behavior. Don't listen to them. Live out your faith today. Focus on your Catholic faith today. What can you do today to live out your faith well and for God? Be a loving spouse. Be a good parent. Be a diligent worker, a good sibling, a dutiful student, a charitable neighbor. Do not fear tomorrow, and do not let the fear of tomorrow, if you have that, paralyze you today or any day. So if there's somebody out there who's saying, oh, I know exactly when it's going to happen, listen to me, la 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 la, you automatically already know it's a scam. Use discernment. Understand that God does not work through confusion or fear or exclusion. A lot of people just know that if people are fearful, they're more easily controllable, and that is a tactic of cults, and that is the tactic of the devil, not of God. All right, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye! A huge thanks to my Jude crew over on my Patreon for making this video happen. I could not do it without you guys. Thank you so much. I would specifically like to thank Jude Crew Plus, And I would personally like to thank Brian Cootie, Roger Davis, Rubes Goodbrain Coffee, Darren, Jay Usetti, Dan Nunn, Sabrina, James Bell, Father Carr, George Gregory, Oliver Waite, Andrew Plowski, Alex R., James, Veronica Beck, Connor, Jarrell de Guzman, Kevin Ashbrook, Michael, Paul Donovan, Christopher Woodside, Michael Martin, DJ Hawk, and Jason Sager. Thank you guys so much. You're the reason I'm able to continue this ministry. And just a quick reminder, we are traveling right now, so if you guys have signed up while we're traveling, I don't have access to be able to edit, so I filmed this in advance. So rest assured, if you did not hear your name or you didn't see your name,